Hello friends, and welcome to Stitch Along with me. We are working on the following pattern, and here is the stitching guide for it. I did make some progress since last time that we have stitched together, and I currently have the following done, and this is my back. And yes, last time we have talked about using needle parking to speed up stitching, and here I am utilizing right here. It is on the side, and it enables me to work on these green stems and leaves as we move along. It would really be difficult to well, not that difficult, but it would be more difficult because you'd have to count more to count everything up, and then it would have to cut off at the end of every stem. It would be a bit more tedious. Now, I did take my work off the round here of this tool, and I was stitching without it. And then interesting thing happened. My daughter saw my work and she wanted to try it. So yesterday we actually did part of this work together. And the way that we did it is that she's 5, and even though these needles are not that sharp, they're still quite pointy, and they're small. The way we did it is that I guided her to where to poke the needle, and then she would take it in and out of the fabric, and she really enjoyed it. She enjoyed it so much that she now wants to give this as a present to her teacher at the end of the school year. So yay, we have a project to be completed in 3 weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun, and she really loved it. And I told her, sweetie, this is the beginning of a whole new world. There are so many projects to do. And she's like, really? So since we're talking about other projects, I am going to take a moment and show you a couple more projects that I have been working on. This one I have been working on for a while, and I actually don't have the original cover anymore, but I do have the stitching outline that I covered to do some protection for it. It's by janlin.com, and it's a little angel with 10 commandments. So this is, I did do quite a bit of it, and I am also utilizing the needle parking here, and I have a little scrap of a towel, an old towel, and I put my needles there to do. So here is my, I will look for a reference a link to this kit, and I will link to it below the video, as well as the one that we are working on together. So this is one of the tools. And I also have this tool right here. It has little sharp type of a razor thing that you can use to trim your thread. It works quite well. So that's one. The other I also had for a while. I started working on it. I do have the image for it, and that is this welcome kit. Welcome flowery. It does have a cute butterfly, which I don't remember where it is, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And I have been working on the flowers part of it. So here it is. And that's my other project. I have one more project that in between moving between different houses. It could be in one or the other that I can't find right now, but I will show it to you as soon as I find it. And I got it when I was visiting Ukraine, the city of Lviv, and it had a little trolley in Lviv. It is quite complicated, and it actually has drawn on pattern, and supposedly when you're done and you are washing your work, then the paint disappears. I have to, as I mentioned, look it up, and I'm looking forward to finishing that and sharing it with you guys. So here are my projects. I have a couple more that are not started yet. One of my friends mentioned that who also likes stitching, that stitching is one hobby and then collecting all the projects is another hobby. So that's definitely a hobby, and now I know that my daughter is interested in it too, so there's a lot more to come. So to keep things moving, my daughter gave me homework, and she said, "Mama, while I'm in school, why don't you work on a little bit of the stitching, and then when I come back from school, we're going to work on it together." So that's what we're going to do. And it is very encouraging for me to pass this skill to my daughter, to the next generation, since I learned from my grandmother and my aunts and my parents and school. So it is quite a rite of passage, and it's a form of art that not many people appreciate, with commodities available in Target and Walmart, and it's some people don't appreciate the time that we put in when we do it. And actually had someone share a comment, one of my coworkers, when I was talking to another coworker who was also working on stitching, and that person said, "Why don't you go to Walmart and buy something like this?" And if you're watching me, if you're stitching with me on this channel, then you know that it's not about going to Walmart. It's about the time and the energy that you put in to work on the work. It's about the time that you're sharing and you're giving to the person that you're giving it to, but also it's about entering into a sort of a meditative state and really going within, and as you work on your concentration and work on the project, you gain so much more by working on it. Yes, it takes a lot of time, and if you are going to sell it afterward, you are not going to sell it for cheap for the same reason. You're spending a lot of time doing it and effort. And if you're giving it to someone who is very special. You're not just giving it to someone who will not appreciate it. It in this fast-paced world, not many people appreciate the effort into developing this craft. So I'm happy that my daughter is interested in it. And so here we go. We have a few left. So I picked up the light green color, but I'm actually going to switch back to the dark green because the next part is still going to be dark green. I'm going to check that I'm not going to tangle my threads. That's one thing that you have to be careful when you are doing this form of needle parking, when you're not detaching colors from the loom and from the fabric, is that you have to count, and you have to, so we're going 3 over and 1 down. 1, 3 and 1 down. And we are going to poke it. Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, and then 3, yeah, 7. There are 7. I am going to end up taking it off the loom and finishing it, or the loop, this embroidery loop, and finishing it without it, because the last stems are going to take me outside of this range. It's going to be too close to the edge and it's not going to be comfortable. So I am going to do this one, and then I'm going to take it off the loop and then show you how I do it. So I'm sticking. I do it, I try to have all my crosses headed in the same direction. So you will often find me do a half stitch like this, and then come back and loop it back. And you may tell me, oh, it doesn't matter, a cross is a cross is a cross, and you are right. I just think it's a little bit neater if it's all pointing in the same direction. And that's 2 more. Okay. here it is. I am going to okay. As I said, I am going to undo the loop, the embroidery loop, and off and off. Okay, I'm gonna have to undo the green and untangle and do it here. My apologies. Okay, this one done. So we have 3 sets of 2 leaves, 6 crosses each. So again, we're checking that it's not going to be and the top one, let's see, we are close to the bottom, so we're gonna start. The top one is on the 4th one, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. And since we are working on this, and you see when I do that, I can actually hold my work like that, so the immediate area is right between my fingers. And what I do here is I do work on the embroidery loop. This would take 2 moves. Here it takes 1. I do in and out, or I'm actually going to do in and out. So I do 1 movement and it replaces 2 of them, so I can go faster like that. I can go faster. And I go 1, and that is it. There are times that I still do 2, but that is rare. Okay, I do have to check that I don't create additional knots here, since, as I mentioned, I am doing needle parking, and it may create additional messiness, so just be on the lookout of that, and untangle any tangles if that happens. That's why that it is helpful for any detached needles to be stored on a separate sheet of paper, not paper, thread, not thread, fabric. Okay, so here we go. And here I'm actually going to go diagonal. And one more to checking the back. The back looks okay. And I am going to do it straight. If you want to see what you get when you do half a stitch, you get the kind of this is when you get half a stitch, and then when you are going full, then you have this line in between. That's the back. And you may wonder, why does it matter if the back is neat? And it could be, if you're framing the work, that it may not matter. But there are often, when you're doing works like napkins, tablecloths, and works for like clothes, your shirts, and in that case it does matter, because first of all, you will see it when you're putting it on, and secondly, people who come to visit you, your guests, your friends, if they look at the work and they see that it's neat on one side and it's a complete mess on the other side, they may not say it to you, but they may not want to offend you, but usually it creates this kind of an energy of repulsion. How come it's so nice on one side and so and not so nice on the other side? This said, is definitely a skill that you learn. So the first few works are definitely not going to be neat and nice. Mine first, when I was my daughter's age, they were not neat at all on them. But each new project that you work on is going to be better and better, and that's how the standards and the professionalism of it. I'm not afraid to say that, because it is a craft that can be, and for many people is a profession, even to this day. Then the more you work on it, the better you are, and the first of all, the faster you are, and it just becomes a second nature to you. You're no longer questioning, do I do it? Is it okay or is it not okay? There's certain things, and you start, once you become neater, and once your work becomes neater, you will want to keep it neat even when nobody will see it. Even when because you know that the person who's going to be framing your work is going to look at it, even if you need to repair it years down the line. It will all be like a testament to your work. So it's your standards, and that's that. So yeah, we're getting to the end of the stems. I have one large flower and then two more grasses after that, and then we're going to do the mountain. As I was telling my daughter, I know she's eager to do the flowers, but I'm teaching her that when you work on a color, that you finish that color. On that note, I want to bring up an interesting topic, and that is with content cross stitch, especially the complicated works. You're doing a lot of counting and a lot of counting on top of counting. So you start at a certain point, and then you based on the color or whatever method you do, maybe you do a pure needle parking and you go straight across. That's I find that technique more applicable for bead embroidery, because while you can wrinkle your work like this for actual thread, for beads it's not that that convenient to do. And I do have some beading projects too that when I get to them, I'm going to invite you along for a stitch along. So for that type of work, you are doing go side to side. But the nice part about bead embroidery is that you're using white or black or one color thread, depending on the type of fabric you're using, and it is the bead color that changes. So technically you can have one thread, one needle, and you're just sewing them on. So it's not, counting becomes it's not more you stitching where you make a mistake. It's if you miscount actual beads in the stitching. It is possible that, especially again, if the work is intricate and if or if you have to do a lot of individual elements, that you inadvertently miscount something. Like you had to go 16 empty spaces and you went 15, or the other way around. And mistakes do happen, and I do have a couple of instances when that happened. And there are instances when it's innocent, it's an isolated element. You were supposed to do 10 crosses or 10 beads, and you did 9 or 11. And if you really look closely, you will know, but usually you will not notice. I had an instance like that where in a beading project that I did, there was the top row was not symmetrical. It was missing on the set. And when I showed it to one of my friends who's also stitching with me, she pointed that out to me, and I thanked her. And what do you know? I added that extra row because I wanted it to be perfect. I did it just because I did it. I wanted to be correct. On this project, I forgot miscounted one cross. And when I pointed it out to my daughter, she said, "Add that cross." What do you say? What are you doing, Mom? Add that cross. So I did. There are other places where by the time you notice, it will be difficult to do that. You'll have to rip a significant part of the work. And there are times when that is warranted, and there are other times when it's time to just accept it as you adding your personal touch to it and just moving on. And it is not a fault of yours or mine or anybody who does that. It happens. We're all human, and when we are designing on the fly, it's one thing. I don't know many people who do that. Usually people designers, they have several drafts that they go through where they can fix issues like that. When you're actually performing someone else's design on fabric, if you make a mistake or two, don't be too hard on yourself. Just accept that yes, it's now my own work. Kind of, it's a variation on the kit that I bought, and that would be it. If it's very evident, if it's very critical, like you cannot continue, then by all means rip it out and do it over. But another thing to be aware of is that the the amount of thread in these kits is measured. So if you undo most of the work that you did and you're halfway done, you are not going to have enough for a thread. You're not going to have enough floss to finish your work. So at that point, it might be better to just move on and continue, and then make some amends so that the rest may not be exactly according to the pattern or the outline. And ultimately, it's for you to enjoy and for your friends to enjoy, and you're not going to be entering it in the competition. And even if you will, usually the people who are part of the embroidery and the needle art community, they know exactly what it is. They know exactly what it takes, and they know that a little mistake like that is not going to make or break you, and they're going to be supportive of you. They're going to be supportive of your work, and then next time that you are working on the project, you're going to be more careful with counting. And that's like I mentioned to you the tools that I use when I have to do a lot of counting, when I have to count like 50 spaces, 60 spaces, 100 spaces. I use a guiding thread. I take a needle, take like a spare thread, bright colored, and I count out, like I stitch every like 5 stitches or 4 stitches, and then I just count those spaces so that I know for sure that I am not going to miscount. And it's a little bit easier than just looking at this the endless sea of white squares, and like which one do I stick it in? Do I stick it into this one, or one square to the left, or one square to the right, or one square up, or one square down, and oh shoot, I was supposed to do it a little higher, and now it's a little lower, and now my relationship is going to be between one element and the other one is going to be messed up, and now it's not going to look as nice. And it's this type of attention to detail that I find that it is turning people away from this art unnecessarily, because the art itself is not that hard. You just poke a needle through some fabric and and everybody can do it. Really, everybody can do it. And you know, if you are worried or concerned about not being able to, or it not coming out as good, then just find a friend who is interested in this. I mean, that's why I am doing these stitch alongs is I know that the chances of you having this specific project are very slim, and I am going to look it up and put it on online, because it is a great project by Leisure Arts. And I know that you're probably going to have your own project, and but the conversations that they show, the techniques that they show, the topics that we talk about, they're universal, and they are the type of conversations that happen when you go to Embroiderers Guild of America meeting. You have several members working on their own projects, and they show each other what the progress that they made, the difficulties that they're having, and they support each other. And this is what I am doing too with all of you, my viewers. I want to support you on your journey, your creative journey. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe. I am going to have as many stitch alongs as I can, for sure, at least once or a few times a week, hopefully even more. Certainly when life gets busy, but it is a part of my life, and it had helped me through many of life's challenges, to the point where when we were moving from Ukraine to United States and I was packing my bags, I had my stitching with me, and I was a 13-year-old girl, and my father asked me, "Are you sure you want to take it with you?" And I looked at him like, "Do you even have to ask?" So it's certainly anybody can do it. It doesn't matter how old or how young you are. If you are very little, like my daughter, just you need to have an adult supervise you, or if you want to encourage your little one, it is possible to do it in a safe way, by picking the type of not sharp needles, and by picking easier projects, by doing it with them, by guiding them through it, and it will come out good. And it's not, oh, I'm creative person or not creative person, or like, look at this, the design is done for you by this wonderful Leisure Arts company and designer, and all you need to do is to spend a couple of, I think this one was on clearance for $3, so you can find other ones, and there are other patterns online free, or also for a few dollars. You can look them on, find them on Etsy. You can find also floss and online on Amazon or at your local craft store. So there are resources out there, and just keep stitching, my friends, and I'll see you in the next stitch along. Bye bye.